Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off, because today I'll be sharing a bit of how to play, as well as my review for By the Vote, which is from Coozies Games. Should you elect to add this game to your collection, or does By the Vote set a precedent for poor game design? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. All right, so I have to point out, yes, I know I did not use the word president correctly in the open, but you know me, I'm kind of goofy. I like to try to be funny. Probably not. Anyway, I am going to be sharing a how to play as well as my review of By the Vote, which is from Coozies Games. Do have to point out there is no credited designer or art team. Otherwise, I'd be letting you know who those people are. This game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 9 and up. Plays in 15 minutes exactly. I will mention why in the review. And it does carry an MSRP of $35. It is available right now from bythevote.com. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because I've got everything pretty much set up to start playing By the Vote. And the premise is that you are a candidate from a new political party. So it's a fantasy game already. So you're from a new political party and you are, your party's candidate for president. And you are attempting to win electoral votes by taking states. So essentially what this is a blind bidding game where you are trying to tally up the most electoral votes based on the state. Interestingly enough, you're never going to have enough money to be in the running for all the states that are in play. So there's a really nice balancing act that takes place. Whoever ends up with the most electoral votes at the end of the game wins. They are considered to be the president. There's some rules as far as if you and the next player total 270 electoral votes or more, you're the president and vice president. And I got to be honest, it's just, to me, whoever's got the most electoral votes is the winner. Something else to point out as well is you can approach this if you've got 4 or 5 players at the table. You can approach this as that this is actually primaries, and you are actually trying to get the nomination from your party, be it, say, Democrats or Republicans. That's one way to look at it as well. If you feel kind of odd where it's like, so it's like 5 political parties, I don't know about that. So anyway, I do want to mention that the component quality is very, very nice for By the Vote. All these boards are nice and thick. So the money tokens that we have here, we also have what's known as the voting booth, which is pretty cool. This is a blind bidding game, so you would actually put your voting booth like so to block anybody from seeing what your bids are on the various different states. So that is very nice. It also shows you the electoral votes plus the District of Columbia. So you've got that as well. So the states are going to be indicated by leaning blue, leaning red, or swing states. The rules of play, interestingly enough, are located on these 3 cards, but the rules are also on the side of the box. So these might not necessarily be in complete focus here, but just to kind of give you an idea. So funny enough, I found the rules on the box a little more detailed than the rules on the cards, I should say. And I got to say, the print on these cards is pretty small. Thankfully, I'm able to read it, but I know other people might have to bust out some reading glasses to check this out. All right, so what happens is you're going to have different states that you're going to be bidding on. So we've got these little tallies here showing us what we're doing in each round. So to start the game, everybody's going to get $10 million. Boy, that sure isn't a whole lot. And you can look at this whole bidding process that's the amount of advertising that you're doing, the boots on the ground, maybe how much campaigning you're actually doing in that state. It's an investment. It's an investment in trying to win that state. So what you're going to do first off is round one, we're going to see we've got 3 states. So we've got Alaska, we have Rhode Island, and we have Hawaii. So you would lay these out. Everybody's going to take their voting booths and make sure that they cover things up. And then everybody gets to decide, all right, so what am I bidding on? So, of course, remember, you're looking to have the most electoral votes at the end of 8 rounds. You only have 15 minutes to complete the game. You're supposed to start a timer once you begin play. So once you flip that first card, you're going to hit the timer. You've got 15 minutes. I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of actually throwing the timer in. I understand you're trying to get through, the 8 rounds of the game as quickly as you possibly can. But without a timer, you're still not going to go much more than maybe 20, 25 minutes because the game really does zip along. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to, and I'm going to move this out of the way so it's a little easier for folks to see. So you've got your player mat here. So it's going to show you each of the rounds as well. So we see what goes on in the rounds here. We also have it right on your player board as well. So this is where you're going to actually put down whatever bids you might have to be able to win a state. Interesting aspect of the game is if you tie with someone who has, as far as the highest bid for that state, nobody wins it. And any money that is bid is lost. So if you put a bid down on a state and it's a tie, everybody's going to lose the money that had those bids in on that state, and that state will remain in play. So just for laughs, let's say I decide I was only going to bid $1 million to take Hawaii's for electoral votes. Everybody reveals their bids because remember, you start off with $10 million. You're not going to get more money until the 4th round. You're going to get $20 million plus $2 million for every state that you've collected. So going after the big monster states like California and New York are important, but you also have to balance that with trying to get as many states as you possibly can, because that will provide you with more finances towards the later stages of the game. I thought that's pretty interesting. So let's say, as an example, my opponents, somebody took Alaska, I took Hawaii, and either say nobody bid on Rhode Island or everybody tied on Rhode Island. So I would lose my $1 million on that. Then we would now move to round 2. So we're going to add a state into the mix. So what happens is we're going to leave this state here. So we bring out West Virginia. We're actually going to stack, oh, look at this, with Ohio, which is a swing state. And I will talk about the swing states in just a moment. Another swing state, Virginia, and Oregon. All right, so what happens here is if we have states that were tied or nobody bid on them, they're going to stay out here in play. So now whoever's voting, or I should say bidding on state 2, is actually bidding for 22 electoral votes. That is very important. Something else that's pretty wild is with these swing states. If you win a swing state, then you are able to claim the last state from another player. So what happens is when you earn your states, when you win your bids, you're supposed to take the cards and put them under here. And as you add states to your total, let's say as an example here, we've got this. So we had Florida as a swing state. You're supposed to kind of line them up because there's like a little electoral vote ruler that runs along this player mat, which in theory is actually kind of cool. In operation, it's kind of, yeah. It's not as good. It doesn't work as well as you would hope. But what putting your states like this actually does too is that way, say for an example, somebody gets these two states, they could choose, or they should choose, to steal a state from another player. So these swing states are very, very important in play because it allows you to steal states from other players. Now, one thing I will point out, though, is if it was something like this, where the swing state is actually on the bottom, whoever would win this stack would not actually get to utilize that action for stealing a state from another player. It has to be on top or out in play like this. So what happens in the game is you're going to find people are going to be saving their money and putting big bids in to take swing states because that allows you to steal states from other players. But what I found when we play the game is that the swing states tend to get a lot of ties as far as high bids. So they stay in play, but they usually, of course, I drew another swing state. They usually get covered up so that that special ability of stealing a state is lost. It's a very interesting little wrinkle to this game, and it's one of the things that really makes this game stand out, as opposed to, oh, well, we're just bidding on electoral votes. The swing states really do bring a very cool wrinkle to play, as well as, you know, adding to the stack of states that maybe somebody doesn't win their bid on or nobody bids on. So like I said, remember, starting off, you've only got $10 million until the fourth round. So what'll happen early in the game is you might see some little stacks. Give you an idea. Something like this, maybe, where each of these states alone might not make you want to bid on just the one state. But once you got a couple of the states together, stacked together, now you're looking at 11 electoral votes. That's worth some money. So the whole aspect of when you get additional financing is pretty cool as well. So what's going to happen is you're going to play through 15 minutes. You should be able to get to the finale of the game, which is essentially round 8. So what can happen is you're going to see, or of course, if you ever run out of cards before that, you will have in rounds 7 and 8. Whoa, look at that. There's California with its big 55 electoral votes. So you're going to see as you get to later rounds, you're going to have more and more states out there in play as far as available for you to bid on. So as the game opens up, and hopefully when you hit round 4, you've got some states for some extra bucks, you have a lot more leeway as far as bidding. But then again, you will have various stacks of states out there as well. So once the 15 minutes is up, or if you make it to the end of the 8th round, which should get you through all of the states and the District of Columbia, As I mentioned before, the way the rules stated is whoever's got the most electoral votes is the winner. There's supposed to be the president, and if you add in the second place player, if the total of that is 270 or more, they're basically the president and vice president. Like I said, we've just played it where whoever's got the most electoral votes wins. This plays nicely with 2 players. I personally really do like it with more players, 4 or 5 players. It works very, very well, and it still zips along. There isn't a ton of analysis paralysis involved in it. For one, you're not going to have like $50 million to start off with to start, throwing money around anyway. So actually, this zips along, and by the time you hit 15 minutes, you should be pretty much near the end of the rounds anyway. Once again, I'm not a big fan on the timer. And we played with 4 players, and we ran maybe a minute or 2 over 20 minutes. So you can use a timer if you want. It's, in the rules, but personally, I didn't care. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because I will provide my final thoughts and give this a review score. I have to say, when By the Vote showed up, and I was approached to do a review for it, I thought, it's a political game. Oh, aren't we all sick and tired of politics already? But one of the things that I noticed was it was not pushing any sort of political agenda by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually more kind of a civics game than anything else, really. So I said, sure, I'll take a peek. We've really had a good time with it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit, and we've played it multiple times in the same evening because, like I said, it plays very quickly. So this makes for a great wind up or wind down game, as I like to say. You can wind up or wind down an afternoon or evening of gaming with this, or maybe you can play it while you're waiting for more people to show up at your gaming night. So definitely like it. And a couple of things that I'll toss out there you might consider, because they do have the states broken up by leaning towards Democrats, leaning towards Republicans, or swing states. If you're playing a 2-player game, we tried this out, and it was actually kind of cool. So in a 2-player game, one player says, okay, well, I'm the Democratic candidate, and somebody else is the Republican candidate. And when you're bidding on a state, if it leans your way and you put money on it, then it would count as an extra $1 million. Now, of course, when you have a stack and they're 2 different, one's leaning red, one's leaning blue, or one's a swing state and the other's red or blue, then that didn't come into effect. We tossed that in to kind of, throw a wrinkle into the gameplay, and we liked it. Didn't come up a ton, but we thought it was kind of cool. So, we were looking at, let's make it more realistic. Anyway, all in all, I seriously do recommend By the Vote. Personally, I say throw the timer out. And as far as, who's the winner, just, most electoral votes is fine. If you want to do it by the rules, that's fine too. But we noticed with bigger games, nobody totaled that tally. So nobody was president after the election? I don't know. Anyway, on a score of 1 to 10, I give By the Vote a very solid 8 out of 10. I think you'll enjoy it. Of course, your mileage may vary, and you might be sitting there going, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to deal with anything to do with politics until 2022. I certainly would understand that. But definitely, if you're open to it, give it a peek. I think you and your group will enjoy it. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it will not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also tell you when I stream live my Monday through Thursday show, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, right here on YouTube, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And as I wrap up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, certainly hope all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and everybody please wear a mask.